Hello, and welcome to In Focus. Today, a look at who is still willing to stand next to Russia. In the Caucasus, Azerbaijan just put 3 Kremlin propagandists on a wanted list and called in Moscow's ambassador. Then, it sat down to talk gas with Ukraine. And out in the Pacific, Putin's closest friend these days is North Korea. For years, Moscow assumed Azerbaijan would fall in line. Not anymore. Baku skips the Kremlin summits, turns Russian envoys away, and it is still waiting for someone in Moscow to answer for the passenger plane shot down over Russian territory. Now, its prosecutors are issuing arrest warrants for Russian television hosts.
Azerbaijan's Prosecutor General's office has placed 3 Russian propagandists on an international wanted list. According to the authorities, they are accused of publicly calling for terrorism, the violent overthrow of Azerbaijan's constitutional order, violations of the country's territorial integrity, and inciting ethnic hatred.
Azerbaijani authorities have placed Russian Transport Ministry advisor and Z-blogger Alexei Chadayev, Moscow 24 TV host Ivan Knyazev, and political analyst and media manager Semyon Uralov on an international wanted list. The substantial grounds for suspicion reportedly stem from 2 episodes of the program Purity of Understanding, published on Semyon Uralov's YouTube channel on July 14th and August 13th, from the Moscow Times report.
A court ordered the arrest of the Russian propagandists in Absentia, while the Prosecutor General's office initiated procedures to place them on the international wanted list through Interpol channels. In addition, Russia's ambassador to Azerbaijan, Mikhail Yevdokimov, was summoned to Azerbaijan's foreign ministry. According to the ministry, the Russian diplomat was presented with a strong protest over provocative and insulting statements recently made in the Russian media, as well as direct threats against Azerbaijan, its people, and the country's leadership.
The ministry also referred to a program broadcast on Sputnik Radio on August 7th, absurd claims about Azerbaijan's leadership being included on the Russian list of terrorists and extremists, as well as provocative remarks targeting the Azerbaijani leadership that were once again made on the SPA's TV channel on August 16th, from a statement published on the website of Azerbaijan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Interference in Azerbaijan's domestic political processes and calls for physical violence against the Azerbaijani people and the country's leadership are unacceptable, Azerbaijan's foreign ministry stressed. Analysts say the Kremlin's increasingly aggressive rhetoric is linked to Baku's increasingly independent policy toward Moscow. Azerbaijan is strengthening ties not only with its regional neighbors, the European Union and the United States, but something particularly sensitive for the Kremlin, with Ukraine as well. Baku has repeatedly demonstrated its autonomy by turning down visits by Russian envoys and skipping informal summits in Russia. Now, backed by its alliance with Ankara and its strong position in the region, Azerbaijan is increasingly setting its own terms. President Ilham Aliyev, meanwhile, has responded firmly to any attempts by Vladimir Putin to exert pressure.
Azerbaijan is distancing itself in every possible way, first of all, from any geopolitical structures involving Russia. And the last unresolved issue, despite Russia's apology and other steps, is the downing of an Azerbaijani aircraft over Russian territory and Russia's prolonged refusal to acknowledge responsibility for it. After that incident, relations between Baku and Moscow did not simply deteriorate. They became, so to speak, openly tense.
Meanwhile, cooperation between Ukraine and Azerbaijan has reached its highest level in recent years. One of the key areas remains mutually beneficial cooperation in the energy sector. Azerbaijan is ready to supply gas to Ukraine and expand cooperation in energy security, including through the use of Ukraine's underground gas storage facilities, Azerbaijani Foreign Minister Ceyhun Bayramov said at a joint press conference with his Ukrainian counterpart. Kyiv and Baku also intend to develop cooperation in law enforcement. Ukrainian Interior Minister Ihor Klimenko said, following a phone call with Azerbaijan's Interior Minister Vilayat Ayvazov. Key areas include combating organized and cross-border crime, cybersecurity, and fighting fraud. Reported by Victoria Chistyukina, UATV News.
The Kremlin's other friendship is moving the opposite way. American and South Korean troops are training right now, though on a smaller scale after President Trump ordered it cut back. And Pyongyang is busy, firing missiles, walking soldiers across the line that splits the peninsula. More in our next report.
Joint U.S.-South Korean military exercises have begun in South Korea and will continue until August 27th. The drills are designed to improve the Allies' ability to counter drones, GPS jamming, and cyber attacks, taking into account North Korea's growing military capabilities. However, on the very day the exercises began, it emerged that U.S. President Donald Trump had ordered their scale to be reduced.
These exercises are not only costly, with much of these costs paid for by the United States of America as usual, but send a signal that is totally inappropriate and hostile to a country that, as long as Donald Trump has been president, has been unthreatening and respectful. Therefore, and based on the fact that it is too late to cancel, I have instructed Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to substantially reduce the joint military exercises. Donald Trump, President of the United States on Truth Social.
During his first term in office, the White House chief also sought to halt or substantially scale back military exercises with South Korea. He also pushed Seoul to increase its financial contribution toward the cost of stationing U.S. troops in the country.
The main message here was for South Korea, to encourage Seoul to reconsider the cost of its own security more quickly. Because we have heard Trump say more than once, why should we be providing our security for free? Our security comes at a cost, and essentially the same approach applies to Japan. The U.S. military presence there and its security umbrella are also being reconsidered. So, in principle, South Korea now needs to think seriously about this.
North Korea has repeatedly opposed U.S.-South Korean military drills. Pyongyang claims the exercises could push the world toward nuclear war, and has threatened to exercise its right to self-defense. At the same time, it is North Korea that regularly tests delivery systems capable of carrying nuclear weapons. 5 days before the drills began, Pyongyang launched a missile that flew more than 700 kilometers toward South Korea and the East Sea. And on August 17th, a group of North Korean soldiers crossed the military demarcation line while patrolling the demilitarized zone. South Korean forces fired warning shots, after which the North Korean soldiers returned to their side of the border, Yonhap reported.
Any military movements will inevitably be perceived by the other side as grounds to talk about provocations or preparations for something. And indeed, any such actions are categorically criticized by Pyongyang. I don't see anything new here, but the problem is that North Korea is now, essentially, the state demonstrating military activity in actual combat operations.
Analysts link this renewed activity by Pyongyang to its deepening cooperation with Moscow. In a message congratulating Kim Jong-un on the 81st anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese occupation, the Russian dictator declared his readiness to work together toward what he called the establishment of a more just and democratic world order.
North Korea is gaining access through Russia to technologies and the latest developments from research institutes. This includes missile technology, satellite development, aviation, and submarine capabilities. There are many, many developments that Kim Jong-un is now using directly to strengthen his country.
Kim Jong-un, in turn, reaffirmed his commitment to strengthening cooperation with Moscow and said North Korea intends to further develop bilateral ties.
What is happening today, the rapprochement between Russia and North Korea, clearly creates major security risks, especially in that region. And of course, this poses risks for South Korea and Japan. What is particularly interesting is that these strategic security risks also pose a serious challenge to China.
Cooperation with Russia is bringing significant revenue to the North Korean regime. According to Seoul's Institute for National Security Strategy, since 2022, North Korea may have earned up to $14.5 billion from supplying ammunition and sending troops to Russia. By comparison, North Korea's entire GDP in 2024 was estimated at around $26.5 billion, reported by Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.
An oil-rich neighbor with plenty of options is walking away from Moscow. A sanctioned regime selling Putin artillery shells is walking in. And in those same weeks, Ukraine keeps signing new partners. Thank you for watching In Focus. If you enjoyed this episode, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next one.